up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Super Gamer Boys. I'm your host, Colonel and Dad Garrett Morlang, and here in the virtual studio with me is, let me get this right, the king of video games and resident power washer extraordinaire, Adrian Holmes. What's up, Adrian?
Good evening, old chap. How are you this evening?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, we got a little bit of a late start tonight, but you know what? It's all good. We're here now, and
we're here. We made it.
We made it, and I think we got a good show. We had some little switch up here with some of the stories we're gonna talk about. We got a lot of good listener questions. But how about you? How's your week been? For me, it's been a busy week. So I'm curious, like, how's your week been? Do you have a good weekend, good restful weekend, or?
Yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. Kept it pretty low key. I've been, we'll talk about it later and what you're playing. But I've kind of been going through the older Final Fantasy games, you know, just playing through those. If you've seen in our Discord, the last few that I've put in there have been those older Final Fantasy games. I don't know, I felt like going through them in order just to see how much the series has evolved, you know, and boy, has it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever, because there's like, I've already talked about a bunch of times on the show that like, hey, like I have not really played any of the Final Fantasy games. But I'm trying to some games I say I've never played them, but like maybe I played like a demo or I've played like a couple minutes, but I don't count that as playing it. So I'm trying to think though, like of those earlier ones, if like there's ever been a time where like even for like 5 minutes I fired one up on an emulator, and I don't think so. Because there was the one that you posted on the backlog challenge that you finished. I was like, oh wow, I don't even know if I've ever even like. I wouldn't even know what it look like if I was to like. I'd have to like YouTube it, look up some pictures and stuff. Like that's Super Nintendo, right?
Those are the Pixel remasters, actually. The ones that came out recently.
Okay, but they were originally Super Nintendo, right? That was
so. 1, 2, and 3 are NES, and then 4 up, I believe, are Super Nintendo. 4 up until 7.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. I actually have never finished 1 through 3.
So is this
never
your first
had
run?
access to them. Yeah. I've played them before, but I've never gotten all the way to the end and cleared them. So
okay.
This is new for me.
That's awesome.
4 and up, yeah. But yeah, 1 through 3, I don't know, just because they're like the original trilogy, they were like hard for me to get to. But with the Pixel remasters, it was the perfect opportunity to finally jump into it.
Yeah, not easily accessible, but cool. Okay, we hear you talk about it later on the show there.
Yeah.
I had a busy weekend. I've mentioned before on the show, I run sound for the church I go to, and this we had like full band this weekend. Like a lot of times it's just like, all right, one person up there with an acoustic guitar, that's it. This time it was like bass and drums and piano and a few vocalists and all this stuff. Let me tell you, like, it's so much fun. I love mixing audio. Like running live sound is like already fun enough, but then when it's like, all right, I gotta like make all this sound good, you gotta be able to hear everything going on. You don't want it to just be a muddy mess. That has got to be like one of the most fun things. I don't know, for me it is. Like it's this act
putting it together,
this active mixing too, like throughout the song. It's not like just set it and forget it. It's like, oh no, like the whole time just tweaking and
that guy's a little loud, let me turn that down.
Yeah, this EQ and stuff. Oh shoot, I gotta like literally during this service I was like, oh shoot, like I don't know, something happened, like the drums was sort of like sounding wonky. I'm like, it sounds so good in practice. I don't know, once you get a bunch of bodies in a room, it changes the sound of things. I'm like, all right, man, I don't know, that's just so fun to me doing live audio, like mixing and stuff like that.
Well, so good. I'm glad you're able to do the things that you like to do. Yeah. And they are fulfilling.
Yeah. But also like it's one of those things like I come home and I'm like, I'm so tired. Like it's so exhausted. It was not a restful weekend.
It's mentally very busy. Mentally taxing. It's not physically taxing.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's get on here. We got lots to talk about today. So today we are going to be talking about Baldur's Gate setting a new standard in gaming, apparently.
Question mark?
PlayStation's secret game delays and Red Dead Redemption re-release causing a stir online. But first, let's give a quick shout out to our Patreon producers, Bumple Smash, Eddie Martin, and Kajoma01, and our Super Gamer sponsors, Julie Bates and Mama Mare. If you want to be awesome just like those folks, head over to patreon.com/supergamerboys where you can support us starting at just $1 a month. That's right, $1, and you get episodes early and ad-free, such as this show, as well as our Patreon exclusive show, Super Later Boys. Episode 2 is up right now. At the end of this month, there'll be episode 3. It's our monthly show. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Looking forward to it. We haven't really, we haven't planned out the next one, but we'll have to talk about it and see, if we can find some good questions, good topics, and who knows, like the whole goal of it is also to have like some fun guests on there. So yeah, me and Adrian gotta sit down and
should probably get on that.
It's I mean, that's the fun thing about it too, is like, because it's so low key, like it doesn't really require too much planning. Like the biggest thing is probably scheduling a guest, but even then it's like, all right, do you have an hour one day to just come and talk about anything? Like just talk.
Right, you don't have to have played any games, you don't have to just come and hang out.
No prerequisites. It's just like show up and chill.
We have to disguise people, asking people to just hang out with us as a podcast. Hey,
it's the only way we can make friends.
Us, please? Can we want to record a podcast?
Oh man. But also Super Gamer Book Club, which was the previous Patreon show, it would come out 2 months later for free for everyone. Well, the very last episode is up for free of season 2, Super Metroid featuring Nintendo Cartridge Society. So make sure to go check that out. It's over on youtube.com/supergamerboys and on all podcast apps. Just search for Super Gamer Book Club to find that whole catalog. We'll talk more about our Patreon later on the show. But right now, I do want to give a shout out to Jack Sriracha and Yate for allowing us to use their music on our show. Last couple of weeks, we've been, using DJ True, some of his tunes. But like I said, we're going to kind of swing back and forth every few weeks. So got some Jack Sriracha and Yate soothing us, nice, soothing, calm, chill music in the background. So enjoy that. And if you are, you can check them out on Apple Music and Spotify. Links will be in the show description for you to find them there. All right. I believe it's now time to check the mailbag. And from what I understand, you've been working your fingers and you did some upgrades to Super Gamer Bot.
I did. That's what I've been doing over the weekend. I have been taking wrench and screwdriver to Super Gamer Bot, and let's just say they're feeling pretty good right now. Let me go ahead and start them on up here. Give me just a second.
All right.
Let's see. Oh no. Can you do it on your end? For some reason it's...
Oh, let me see.
My control pad's down.
Let me kick it a couple times and see
Please.
if it hang on. There we go.
There we go. Okay.
That did it. All right, booting up.
Hello, fellas. It's me, the real Super Gamer Bot. Here's some questions.
Yeah?
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like it. It was
fun. You finally
fun.
fixed that voice module. Now it doesn't sound like Snake anymore or Gladys. Now it's, that's the actual voice files. I had to dig deep for those.
Solid Gamer Bot. I don't know. I kind of like the ring of that, but that's fine.
It's not like Bumblebee anymore where it's like using the radio to talk.
Oh, that would be awesome, though. Not gonna lie.
That'd be a big update. All
right. Cool. Thanks, Super Gamer Bot, for reading these questions off for us. Can you give us the first one, Super Gamer Bot? That I believe is from Sweats, if I remember right.
If you could be the best in the world at the game forever, which would it be and why?
Okay. Okay. Best in the world at one game. What would it be? Is there anything that comes to your mind? I mean, let me just guess. Here's what I think your answer is. Overwatch 2. That's the one. That's it.
Yeah, no. You nailed it. I want to be the
lowest rated game on Metacritic. Isn't that what it is?
On Steam. It's the lowest rated game ever on Steam.
That's what.
I want to be the Overwatch League scared of me because I'm so good at Overwatch 2. No, I don't know if I want to be the best because I feel like nobody would want to play with you. if everybody knows that you're the best, I mean, there's always going to be that one guy who's like, no, he can't be the best. I can beat him. Let me try to step up. But if I know it's no contest, I think Super Smash Brothers. I know it's an easy answer, but I'd love to be able to be
I like that answer. I like it because that's also like would be just to go to parties and just like trash.
Yeah,
people.
just to be like, I don't know. I haven't really played that much. I haven't played in a couple years or so. And then you get the sticks out and just start causing massive damage. Yeah, boy. I'd love that.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. I think for me, so I'm thinking purely in terms like if I'm gonna be good at game, I need to make it worth my while, right? Like, what's the point of being in a game? Like, I don't know. I don't
worth
care
your while.
about.
Is this a game you're gonna try to gamble on?
So I mean, not necessarily gamble, but I'm thinking like this is a game I don't necessarily. Oh shoot, hang on. Let me think about this. This is hard. This is harder.
Yeah.
Okay, I have two answers, but both for the same reason. But the only reason I'm hesitating because I don't know, and this is my reasoning. I don't know which one is going to make me more money. I haven't done
It's always for profit.
I haven't done extensive research, but my first thought, I was originally going to say Fortnite because I know like the tournaments, like they give out crazy money. I do not like. I shouldn't say hate. I do not like Fortnite. It's not my favorite game. But if it's going to make me tons of money, I would love to be just freaking incredible at Fortnite. Or the other one that I just popped in my head, I'm like, oh shoot, like League of Legends, like the World's Championship, they give away like a bit. Granted, it gets split amongst your team, but like the cash prize is pretty big. But well, Fortnite though, like, is it just like if you do singles, like, dude, like you make
if you're the best in the
cash.
world though, you can play by yourself and wipe a team. And then you get all the money.
Just League of Legends, it's like 1v5. Just like
you got
destroying.
like 3 different mice and keyboards up there, and you just going to work on each one.
Oh man, I think if I had to pick like a game that was more for fun that I was really good at, it would probably be Smash Brothers, like you said, or even like I really enjoy Valorant. I suck at it, but Valorant's a lot of fun as well. I just am really bad, so like that would be fun.
Valorant has never appealed to me. It seems so sweaty. I don't know. There's something about it.
It can get that way, but I don't know. Like playing with some friends, it usually starts out fun. It then eventually gets real sweaty, but it starts out with good intention.
I just feel like the community for that game is just nothing but people who like, this game is not fun. We are trying to win.
We are here to destroy. Oh man. Cool. Yeah, I think I'd have to, if I'm gonna be talented at something, like let's work it to make some money off of it. So granted, I know they have like Smash Brothers tournaments, or they used to. They still do it. Wasn't there a big kerfluffle like this last year where things got shut down?
There was supposed to be one a tournament organizer that actually was working directly with Nintendo to set up a Smash Brothers tournament, and then something happened.
Oh yeah, where they ghosted them and then ended up going with someone else, right? And then like,
or something like that,
like a cease and desist. And then they sent them a letter like, "Hey, stop doing this, or we're gonna sue you."
Right?
Like what? Like we were working together. What happened?
It was a weird Nintendo thing. Sometimes,
so yeah.
But yeah, and then we haven't heard anything about a Smash Brothers tournament since, which is also odd because you would think Nintendo would put on their own. Why were they working with another tournament organizer? You're Nintendo.
Yeah. Do it yourself.
Just set it up yourself.
Just do it yourself. Granted, if their online service, as it is on the Switch, like we were talking about last week, is anything to,
well, the tournaments are normally in person, so we don't have to worry about any Wi-Fi or anything like that.
That's true.
But I'm just saying that they can. I'm sure they have places that they can rent out for a few days, like a convention center or something, or set up in a tournament there.
Right.
That's just, it's weird because you made the game. You know people do this with the game.
Yeah.
You have enough money to set up a pot for the tournament, so why not? I don't know. I don't run a company. Not me.
Yeah, they do. They do. So
that would,
many
maybe get you a lot of goodwill with the Smash community, who is not very fond of Nintendo, actually. But
oh, really?
Not my company.
Yeah. All right, this next question comes from El Chizo. Super Gamer Bot, do you mind reading that one off for us?
In your experience, what factors make a game great?
Ooh, what makes a game great? Okay. Oh, a lot of things. Depends on the day. Man.
It also depends on what I'm looking for, I think.
Yeah.
Like if I'm looking for a story game, I want really good writing. I'm not necessarily as focused on the interactivity of it. Although sometimes the interactivity can help the storytelling. So it could be a marriage of the two. I don't know. What would you say would be just generic game A for it to be good, right? What would you?
So this is well, generic game A, it would just, for me, like in general, it's probably like the story. Like stuff has a really good story. Like that's common denominator for me. Is like some multiplayer games hit, very rarely though. Like it takes a lot, and it takes like playing with the right people, like the right friends. Be like, hey, play with us, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this game's incredible. Like this is so good. I think though, this is gonna sound really funny, but honestly, maybe it won't sound funny. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it depends on how it depends on how I word it. I was initially gonna say a game that can make me cry is what makes a game great. But then it's like, well, not every game makes me cry, but so to boil it down, something that makes me feel like if there's an emotional story to it, whether it is like, oh my gosh, like this is like it's whatever, sad or exciting or tense or like, yeah, like game has a really good like emotional hook. Those games tend to do really really good for me. I don't know, a lot of times because it could be like the best story in the world, but if there's like nothing to like really like grab me like emotionally, um I'm like, okay, yeah, that was a good story, I guess, but it's kind of whatever, like easily forgettable for me. Where like, I don't know, like the main reason like I love, I always rave about Death Stranding and stuff like that. like you get to the end of that and it's like, oh my gosh, like just I mean, that's a game. I literally cried at the end of it, like going through some of those cutscenes and getting the breakdown on what's the deal with Cliff, getting into the whole why can't I think of his name? Die Hardman, like his story and like everything he did, and like, oh my gosh, like so much emotion in that story. And I mean, it's the case with so many games. That so it kind of like surprised me too. Like there's been games that I'm like, I don't know if I like this, or like something that you recommend. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. I maybe I'll like it. And then I play through. I'm like, oh man, like Chrono Trigger. I'd never played Chrono Trigger, and when we played that, and you get to the end, and I guess spoilers, like for a 20
almost 30-year-old game.
Yeah, like when Chrono dies, I'm like, what? What? But like he's the main character. He's the guy. Like I'm in control of the whole game. You can't kill him like that. Oh man, like that just gutted me. Like stuff like that. Like, oh, this game's so good. Like games that just like basically rip your guts out. Like that's what it is for me. Like this emotionally just break me down, or just like surprise you in some way where like no matter the emotion, like yeah, that's where it's at for me, I think.
I think for me it's a mixture. I think when you can tell a story through gameplay, like you set up the main story of course, but then you're able to tell the story with the gameplay intertwined, I think that's when a game is truly like it's firing on all cylinders for me. Because if you have really good gameplay and you have something that you want to say or you want to convey some sort of message or lesson, and you're able to do it, I'm trying to think of one right off the top of my head. I mean, I would say maybe Journey, I think, is a really good one.
Okay.
Because you're going through your pilgrimage, but at the same time, you are actually the player doing it instead of it being told to you, because they could have easily said, this is what happens to the travelers in Journey when they go on their path, and now you must go on yours. They don't do that. They just have you as the traveler go and you experience what that pilgrimage is. So when a game works like that, I think it's especially difficult for a developer to pull off. So when it does happen and it is really well done, I definitely take notice of that. And I think that pushes the game up to that next level for me.
Okay. Journey is actually one of those games I had started back when I first got my PS3 because everyone raved about it, and I never finished it.
That was a mistake.
I feel
brother. You
like
got to go back.
I feel like I missed out big time because everyone has talked about how amazing it was, and I got it.
There's
like,
still time.
It was a free, like it was right when I bought my PS3. Is were giving away for free on PlayStation Plus. You know, it was one of the free games that month, and I picked it up, and I was like, oh man, like this is kind of neat. This is cool. And then like, it was a brand new PS3 to me, so I had like so many other games I wanted to try. I was just like, ooh shiny, and I just like never went back. But man, yeah, that's cool.
Worth every penny, man.
That is sweet. Yeah, and if you guys have games, have things that make games kind of best of the best, like what are those things in those games that you would say that you would think would make it the best in your opinion? So leave that in the comments, or if you're in the chat, let us know. We can read it off. All right, I think we have some more questions here, so let's give Super Gamer Bot a nudge. Hey, you there still? Super Gamer Bot? Sulky's questions, you got that?
What would be the signature dish and drink at the SGP restaurant?
The signature dish and drink at the SGP restaurant. Okay.
Now this is a good one. I had to think about. So the signature drink, if you let me stop you right now. I know what you're trying. I know what you want to say. I know you want to put Peepsy in there. If you do that, I'm closing my Discord immediately.
I mean,
no.
Think about it.
No.
Think about
Absolutely not. You know, I got it.
Okay.
I know what it is. Our signature drink is the Hug Barrels.
Yes, it has to be the blue Hug Barrels. It tastes it.
No, flavor, we're coming up with our own flavors.
Do we? I don't know. Okay,
we can have the regular ones there, but we got to have like a special Super Gamer Boys.
I see.
A special Super Gamer Boys flavor of them. Like we work with the Hug company to get our own for the rest. You know, like how Taco Bell has Baja Blast Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
It's like that.
We have the special Hug flavor.
Right.
Real quick, Hophead Ed did say something that makes a game great is no hand-holding. Throw me in and let me figure it out. Games of the 80s and 90s did that. Now we need 5+ hours of hand-holdy tutorials. See, that's like, I'm the opposite. If a game doesn't hold my hand and just expects me to figure things out, like I get frustrated and I just leave. But that's because I'm a child that needs help. I'm bad at. I self-admittedly am horrible at video games. So, Adrian's signature drink is sea salt ice cream flavored seltzer.
Sea salt ice cream flavored seltzer. I don't know if I would do a seltzer. So this is a Kingdom Hearts thing. You're not
sea salt ice cream. What?
You're not there yet. This is a Kingdom Hearts thing.
That sounds terrible. Okay.
Are you out of your mind? Have you had sea salt ice cream?
You mean like salted caramel, like chocolate? You mean?
No, like it's ice cream. It's ice cream, but it's got a little. It's hard to explain, but it's good. I've had it.
I don't know.
So I don't know if I would have a. I don't know if I would do a seltzer.
It tastes like a vanilla chocolate, and then they maybe just put salt on top.
Float. No, it's mixed. It's a whole thing. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So I think I would maybe do a float. I think I would do a cream soda, and then do sea salt ice cream in that.
Dude, shout out to cream soda. Such an underrated soda. I feel like so many people just sleep on cream soda, but man, I could tear up some cream soda. It's so good. I haven't had it forever. Man, that's so good. So cream soda float with sea salt ice cream.
Yeah.
That's what you're going with. Okay. Huh. I don't know. I need to try the sea salt.
You'll understand when you get there. You still have a bunch of Kingdom Hearts to play. All right.
I have like 20 Kingdom Hearts games.
There's going to come a point when no, actually you don't have that many, but when you get to that point and you think about sea salt ice cream, it's going to change the way you think about it. Just remember this conversation.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I'm still leaning into the hugs. I think we should have our own. And again, it has to be because I don't think there's a purple one. So obviously we're Super Game Boys. It has to be a purple hug barrel, grape flavored, with that slight aluminum taste in there. Hug barrels. Let me see what. Oh, there is already a purple.
But I think there is a purple one.
There is a purple, but they could rebrand it as Super Gamer Grape. Does that count? Is that allowed? Just to rebrand existing flavors of hugs?
I guess. I mean, I thought we were gonna come up with our what?
No, never mind. I was thinking of something. It's so stupid. Okay, so we have to come up with something original. This is hard. Selkie,
now we need a
hard
dish.
Question. I think, man, some chicken wings, some buffalo chicken wings, not from Wingstop. And that's what it's called. It's called buffalo chicken wings, not from Wingstop.
It says in parentheses, not from Wingstop.
Oh man, that's a callback to if you're not on Patreon, you can watch our Super Later Boys where we discuss that. Yes, that's what I would pick, is some good old chicken wings.
I'm trying to think.
This is hard. This is a really hard.
What if we? I guess it would be more of a dessert. I was gonna say, because you guys were both in the bug business, maybe we could do like those mud pies.
Oh,
you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, like it's just like crushed up Oreo, basically, with like gummy worms and stuff.
Yeah, like
in
a
there.
pudding cup with the little Oreos on top, and then the gummy worms out the
chocolate pudding,
out the dirt,
crushed up Oreo cookie, and then gummies. Yes, that 100%.
Yeah,
sounds like my kind of restaurant. Sit down and have a dirt pie with my purple hugs
call
barrel.
It the Bug Slayer or something for JJ.
Yes, it could be his PlayStation name, the Bug Slayer for God 007 X
the Bug Slayer
or whatever. Oh my gosh!
There we go.
So ridiculous.
We did it.
So
See,
terrible.
We just needed a little time to brainstorm.
Here we go. So we got the not Wingstop wings and the mud pies. Oh man. All right. Let's get to this last question here from Sir Prince Lot. Give it to me, Super Gamer Bot.
What's an underrated superpower and why?
Underrated superpower. Okay. Man, you're making me think. You're making me think on all these. This is hard. Sorry for those watching live on stream if my internet's getting wonky here. I don't know what's going on. I just noticed things are getting laggy, so apologies.
Just a hair. We'll make it work. Don't worry about it.
That's my biggest complaint. Cox Internet. They suck. Don't get Cox. If you can get anything else, get anything else. They're the worst. They've been going out so much. I work online. That's literally my job, is all on the internet, and it goes out constantly. Drives me crazy.
It's a necessity.
Boy, an undervalued
I would say,
superpower.
I think healing factor is undervalued, because everybody wants to have these powers, and they don't realize like what the cost would be to come with that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're out like fighting crime or something like that, like most of the time you're gonna be out there getting beat up.
Yeah.
And if you're just a regular superhero where your power has nothing to do with that, you're not going to be able to do it every time, because you're going to need to recuperate for, days, weeks on end. But if you have a healing factor, then, you get beat up, you get cut up, whatever, you're back on the streets the next night, being
That's
able
true.
to go out and do your thing. So I think that's highly underrated. People don't think about the logistics of hero work.
Right. I'm gonna say breathing underwater. Just not only is it great for those underwater missions, you gotta do, go down into so-and-so's lair who lives at the bottom of the ocean. But if you get captured, you're being tortured, you're being waterboarded. Can't get you. You're good. You're fine. You'd be a great 00 agent, you know. If you're the next James Bond, waterboard me all you want. You can't hurt me. I can breathe. Yeah.
Well, there was a few people that could have used that about a month ago.
I'm not sure I understand the reference of that.
There were a few millionaires that could have used that about a month ago.
Oh, jeez. I totally forgot about that. Oh,
I'm just throwing that out there. See? I'm dating the episode.
Underrated for sure. They should have just been able to breathe underwater. Come on. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many superpowers. This is really hard. It would have been easier if you said, is this, tell me, is this, that should be the new segment, is where Sir Princelot just writes in and says, is this power underrated or overrated? And we just give it a thumbs up or down. And he just writes under. It's an over-under game. Yeah, I'm going to stick to it. I'm sticking to the breathing underwater. That's a good one. I mean, you think about it, like, Aquaman's pretty much the only one who can do that, right? Probably Superman. I guess Superman probably can. I don't think he can. Sure.
I don't think Superman can breathe underwater. I think he can probably hold his breath.
Just hold his breath forever. It's just never. He just doesn't need to.
But
breathe.
Even
He's
then,
fine. I guess that's true. He doesn't need to breathe because he can go into space and stuff. So.
I guess it depends on the iteration though, because I feel like some of them have him wear a suit, and then some of them he can just go. It depends on who's writing. You know how they like to change character lore all the time.
Right. And you don't have to have like a little gadget or gizmo. I feel like with like Batman, it's like, all right, he could probably breathe underwater, but it's like you got to rely on this gadget, and if it breaks or you lose it,
yeah,
well, you're
like
screwed.
A rebreather or something.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, oh, I can just breathe underwater. I'm good to go. Mm-hmm. Can't lose that unless someone cuts your lungs out. I don't know. It's very violent, but. All right. Well, thank you so much for writing in those questions, folks. Remember, if you want your questions read on here and want us to answer them, head over to supergamerboys.com/Discord. Join our Discord server over there. It's free to join. You can hang out with us during the week, chat video games, chat movies, whatever, and leave your questions there for this show and for Super Later Boys. We're needing to stock up some questions for that show as well. So be sure to drop some questions over there. We'd love to discuss them. All right, it's now time for the nerdy nudes.
It's now time for the nerdy nudes.
Yes, perfection. All right, let me.
That was off the cuff.
That was good. Switcheroony. There we go. Check it out. News stories on the screen. This first news story comes to us from The Gamer, written by Joshua Robertson. Actually, it's not. That's not the first news story. This is the first news story. I am very prepared and professional. Tyler Wilde over at PCGamer.com. Right. Solarian founder responds to debate over Baldur Gate 3 raising the bar for RPGs. This is video games standards. This is video games. Standards just die every day. Baldur's Gate 3 is an exceptional game. This is a made-up word, isn't it? I don't know. What does this mean? I'm searching this live on air. You guys can all see it. It's gamer slang. I just Googled this word. Grognardy. Apparently, it's gamer slang for someone who enjoys playing older war games or role-playing games or older versions of such games when newer ones are available. Well, you learn something new every day.
I have never heard that word in my life. Not a once.
Never. Baldur's Gate 3 is an exceptional game, a grognardy CRPG with complex and barely explained D&D rules, and a massive mainstream success. Even before its console release, with Diablo 4's always online grind providing the perfect contrast, it's come across to some as a victory over malignant modern video game trends. Where other companies built cosmetic stores and battle passes, Larian Studios has succeeded through good old-fashioned respect for player freedom, ambition, and quality craftwork. Or so go some popular posts and articles. A handful of game developers, meanwhile, have cautioned against oversimplifying the lesson, arguing that Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly that even big studios won't be able to replicate. Online arguing has ensued. In an interview with PC Gamer earlier this week, Larian founder Sven Vink weighed in on the debate, which he finds somewhat perplexing. It's a given that not any studio could make Baldur's Gate 3, he said, but he questions the importance of video game standards, which he says die every day, as new ideas emerge and old ones are reinvented. Backing up to the start, this conversation coalesced in a large portion around a Twitter thread by game designer and former PC contributor Xavier Nelson Jr., who sought to gently preemptively push back against players who would use their excitement for Baldur's Gate 3 to apply criticism or a raised standard to RPGs going forward. His argument was that Baldur's Gate 3 isn't a schema that any RPG developer can work to, but the product of a particular developer taking a huge risk under a particular set of circumstances. In an era of mega games, Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the largest attempted, built by a specialized group of people using mature tech specially built to make this specific game, reinforced by invaluable mass player feedback and market validation ahead of its launch, wrote Nelson. This is not a new baseline for RPGs. This is an anomaly. Trying to do the same thing in the same way, especially without the same advantages, could kill an entire group of studios. Responding to the thread, Obsidian designer Josh Sawyer agreed that the conditions under which BG3 was made are atypical, as did Diablo 4 senior designer. All the game devs are in agreement with this Xavier. This article is very long, so if you want the full thing, you can go read it. There's much more about the interview and stuff like that, but the gist of it is people online on the kind of well, you mentioned Destin Liguri over at IGN. So Destin, what is he? He's not. I want to say influencer. He's not a journalist, and then like the general lay person, like ourselves.
Editor for IGN.
Yeah. So Destin and who's an editor, and then like what I'm saying, like, and other people like who are just not necessarily in the gaming sphere. People who are like not developers, non-developers are saying, hey, like why can't all AAA games or just all games? Why can't games just come out and be working? Like, why do they come out and they need a bunch of updates? Like Baldur's Gate 3 did it. This game's huge. Like, what's the deal? Like, why is EA putting out Star Wars games that are busted for like a month and vice versa, on and on. And then these game developers come out and saying like, well, this is different because this developer has been around for decades and they have this technology and they have this down to a science and blah, blah, blah. Like, not every studio can do that. That's the argument. That's the two sides, essentially. It's like one side saying this should be a new standard where games just come out working, and the other side saying that's unrealistic. What are your thoughts on this, Adrian? Because I assume you have some thoughts. I think I saw you weigh in a little bit on Twitter, if I remember right, but I can't remember.
Yeah, so I think the overarching thing that everybody is missing, or I think the misunderstanding that has erupted from this is a lot of developers think that we're talking to the actual game developer. And I don't know if that makes sense, right? Like, I'm talking about the team that is actually working on the game, that is writing the code, making the assets, I think, and that's where that video failed in that respect, is because it makes it seem like the gun should be pointed at the dev team when that's not the case. It should be at management and above, right? So the executives, the project leads, those are the ones that steer these ships and that have to kind of corral this team and make sure that they can make the product that they've been tasked to make with, right? So I think that's where everything got blown out of proportion, because of course gamers took it and misconstrued it as, yeah, these dev teams are just trying to take advantage of us and all this and all that.
And all the devs immediately got defensive.
Right. So I wanted to clear that up ahead of time and say that when we are discussing this, of course, we are not talking about the actual teams who are just working on the game. That's like, I feel like that's common sense when we talk about that. We have friends who are game developers, and we understand, the positions that they are in.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I do think that the onus is on these project managers to, I was reading an article that said a lot of times when games come out broken like that is because they ran out of money, or they need to sell the game to make the money to finish making the game. And of course, a lot of times they can't delay it because they don't have any more money to keep making the game.
Right.
The thing about that is they can't do that because the executives want the game out at a certain amount of time, because the shareholders agreed, we'll give you the money for the game as long as we get the ROI by this date. And of course, if they don't put that game out at that time, then the investors pull their money out. Now we don't get a game, period. Right?
Right.
So the issue seems to be that the people who are managing the relationships with the investors, and we're speaking at a AAA level right now, the people who are managing these relationships with these investors are not relaying the amount of time and work that AAA games take.
Right.
And I think that these investors don't understand, because they think, oh, well, video games are making more money than ever. I can just put, this amount of money in, and then maybe in a couple of years or so, I'll get my money back, not realizing that this is a long-term investment, or it should be a long-term investment, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if these people who are talking to these investors are not relaying the importance of, hey, yeah, you could put your money in now and we can release it early and, before it's done. And yeah, you'll get a return on your investment, and maybe a little bit. Or if you stick it out with us for the long haul, until the game is done, or, if we happen to have to come back and we can find more investors to see into the vision, then the game gets better and better. It gets better reviews, which in turn gets better sales, which means more money because you stuck it out with us in the long run. That's just, normally that's how investing in a product goes. And it's a gamble, and I think it's odd to me that these major studios rely so much on shareholders, because I feel like they have a good amount of change themselves, right? So like an EA or an Activision or a Take-Two, especially Take-Two makes billions of dollars. And I guess that shows, right? Because GTA 6 it's had years and years and years and years and years to be developed. Right. So when you make, those hits, you can do that. But I don't know. When I think of AAA devs, my patience for them to say that, oh, we don't have enough time, oh, we ran out of money, is kind of wild to me. Because like I said, the company has all that money to, and a lot of times too, people at the top, they don't give them what they need for the project. They say you got to do it in, a fraction of whatever they were asking for, what the team was asking for. But then I think the onus is also on the leads of that project to say, well, we didn't get X funding, they only gave us this. I feel like a lot of times they don't want to pivot and say, well, what can we do within this sphere that we're in now? Right. Let's
make it work.
We asked for 200 million. Right. We asked for 200 million. They gave us 110. What is the best game we can make with 110? Yeah. Rather than saying, well, we can make the game until we run out of money, and then we'll sell it, and then we'll take that money, and then we can finally do the original vision. I don't know. I understand it's a AAA game, but at some point, if you're a good not project manager, that's like still on the team. If you're a good overall lead, or if you're a good financial officer of the project, you got to go, look, bro, we already don't have enough money as it is. how can we make the best game in these constraints? And I think that's a lot of that's a fault with these teams. Is I understand you want to make the biggest, most creative vision. You know, you want to make a mind-blowing blockbustery game at the AAA level. I get it. I understand. You want to push things forward. But at the expense of making just at the base level, a competent product is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
You know? So I say all that to say there are a lot of areas that the average person doesn't really take into account when it comes to having to develop a AAA game at that scale, that leads us to the reason why a lot of them ship broken, or they ship incomplete, or they have to rely on microtransactions. It mainly stems from the top, from the executives and from the company not wanting to give them the money that they need to do the project properly, or the shareholders wanting a return on their investment. It doesn't matter if the game is bad, I want my money back now.
Right.
So I think while Destin's intentions were in the right place, where he was trying to convey that, you know, the way that games are now, the state that they come out in is not okay, which is true. He pointed the finger, people interpreted that as he was pointing the finger at the actual teams,
right,
and not at the people up top who it should have been.
Yeah, it was implied that it was kind of being pointed at the lower teams, when in reality, no one actually asked him what he meant. Like, no one ever clarified. So it's like, who knows what he actually meant? I mean, maybe there's been an update and I missed it, but yeah, it's like people implied or inferred, I guess is correct, but inferred that they're talking about these the lower dev teams and stuff. So everyone immediately went defensive. But it's like, well, like, yeah, I mean, from our point of view, it makes like his statements make sense when really you're pointing more up at the top leadership that's just kind of like in it to make the money and move on, and like don't really care about the product and the team and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's, and I mean, and we've discussed it here on the show, and you've talked about it quite a bit. You're pretty at it, like hardcore on Twitter about it too, about just like with big games that spend all this crazy money and you're just like, what? You've said it, and I have the same sentiment. It's just like we're not necessarily asking for games to be more and more expensive, to be bigger, to be crazier. Like, just come out working. And so, like, to me, even like just the statement of like games should come out working, like that doesn't seem controversial. Like, why? It seems so crazy that all these dev teams are getting all defensive. It's like, that doesn't seem like a controversial statement. Like, games should come out working, right? Like,
and most of those teams agree. They agree they should come out working. Yeah. But then they also say, and we would like to make them come out working, but at the same time, we ran out of money because they don't give us the money that we need, or you know, we had to release it now because the shareholders said release it now. Well, then it sounds like the people that are above this team, we need to figure out a way for the message to get to them that, you know, that this is not okay. You are making your dev team suffer, and in turn getting a worse product.
Yeah,
because you need to get it out right now, or this team is running out of money, or maybe they cut the budget. Maybe they told them, you know, hey, you get so much for this game, and then they came back and said, actually, guys, we didn't anticipate that this would cost this much. Now we're gonna take 25% off the budget. Yeah. You know, I'm sure things like that happen all the time. But at the same time, like I also said, it's also like, on the lead of the project too, to be like, hey, bro,
to be adaptable.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to figure it out. How can we make a good working game? How can we, you know, express our vision at this new level now?
Yeah.
Some things got to go. How can we still make sure it's fun and works well and all that jazz, you know? So the onus is on multiple areas. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with a lot of what you said there. Like, yeah, it's just it comes down to those top brass there at those game studios to just be a little quicker on their feet and not just be so stubborn and stuck in their way. Like, nope, this is the way we're gonna do it. Because again, like they force the developing teams down low to like just grunt, just keep grunting it out, get it, just who cares, push through. And it's like, no, that's not how it works sometimes, not how it works. I do want to give a quick shout out real quick to Super Best Friends Video Games Sleepover podcast here. This rated us. Thank you so much for rating. Hi, welcome in.
Hey.
Raters. Thank you, David.
What's going on, everybody? We're just chatting about some development issues and how game standards need to
they need to change.
They need to change big time.
Despite everyone, like, even though, like, what's funny, even the founder of Larian, who made Baldur's Gate 3, he's like, standards, they die every day. Like his whole thing is like, yeah, standards are great, but they change all the time. But it's like, yeah, but this is one of those things that seems like it shouldn't change. Like this should be something he,
right? Like, but there are some that are concrete.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, I don't have much more to add to that. I think you said it very well. I don't know if I said anything more, I'd just be reiterating what you've already said. But is there anything else you wanted to say on that matter?
No, I feel like there's a lot to say with that we could really just talk about it the whole show. But I at the end of the day, I just want to say, I know, like I said at the top of it, I know this is not the fault of the dev teams. I understand that. Clear as day.
Yeah.
I would never say that the actual dev team is the one that's trying to shortchange us, because they're the ones that are actually working on the product. And who would want to release a subpar product when you have to put all that work into it? It makes no sense. So clearly it's not them. It's not them. Because I want to make sure if this is ever clipped out,
yeah,
I want that out there.
We're free and clear. I do want to say, like, just thinking back to Redfall just a few months ago, like the dev team literally was begging for them to cancel the game, and Xbox and
they didn't even want to make it.
They didn't want to make it, and ZeniMax and Xbox is like, no, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna like it. It's like, ooh, okay, all right.
And then they had to sit in that showcase and lie. We can't wait to show you what's going on with Redfall. It's a game we've always wanted to make. We think you're gonna love it.
Wild.
It's like, I'd be pissed if you made me sit up there and lie like that.
Craziness. Well, let's hope Starfield isn't like that. Or, I don't know. This is going to sound terrible. I kind of hope Starfield comes out and is a mess, just so we can be justified. We still get so much hate on that stupid Xbox showcase. I want Starfield. I know we always say that we never want a game to fail, but this is one of those reasons I almost want it to fail, just so I can go back in the comments and be like, ha, told you so. But no, I'm kidding. I'm looking forward to it.
You gotta let it go, dude. It's eating you up.
It's because I get an email every time someone comments on a video. I get an email, and it's I can't see what the comment is, but it tells you what the title of the video is, and it's always the Xbox showcase. I'm like, dang it, another one.
You know what you should do? You should make a tweet like with a video clip of verbatim of saying like, we don't want Starfield to fail. We think it's going to be a good game, and then just link it to every comment.
Just link it.
That way you could just respond to it with that. Like, type, we said it right here in the video, and then put the link there.
That's what we should do. Because then people, the internet doesn't care. They don't care. All right, let's move on to the next story then. This next news story comes to us from The Gamer. I think this is right now. I got this in the right order, not this time. Sony has delayed several first-party PlayStation games out of this fiscal year. This comes from Joshua Robertson over, as I mentioned, thegamer.com. Cast your minds back a few months and you'll remember the big PlayStation showcase that was meant to amaze and delight everyone, showing us what we can expect to be playing in the near future. In actuality, the showcase was extremely disappointing for a lot of fans, lacking the massive blockbuster exclusive reveals that PlayStation usually reserves for a show of such magnitude. Well, it turns out that there may have been a reason for that. According to Sony's latest financial report, several first-party titles intended to launch within the current fiscal year were internally delayed and pushed beyond March 2024. Sony claims that the impacted changes on the launch dates of a portion of first-party titles has negatively affected its fiscal year 2023 forecast, meaning these games will now release either some point in mid to late 2024 or early 2025. Sony obviously doesn't name the games that were internally delayed, though we can take a good guess based on what we're still waiting on release dates for. Stellar Blade is a promising looking title we've seen a lot of, though it may not fall under the first party label since it's only being published by Sony. There's also the Last of Us multiplayer title that was reportedly delayed earlier this year. Another game that Sony may have originally wanted to release in the next 8 months. It's also possible that Sony may have wanted the highly rumored Twisted Metal reboot to launch close to the release of the recent show, though the reported switch of developers from Lucid Games to Firesprite may have thrown those plans into disarray as well. Apart from that, your guess is as good as mine. Obviously, this is just conjecture, but these delays could possibly be the reason as to why the most recent PlayStation Showcase was full of vague CGI trailers. The games previously mentioned are only the ones that we know about or have been announced. And Sony could easily have had some unannounced titles in development that it was planning to reveal and then drop within a few months. And there's also reference in the last paragraph here about Team Asobi not really having anything on the slate. Blue Point, we don't really know what's going on. Ben Studio. So there's a lot of studios that are just like kind of in limbo at the moment. Yeah, very, very interesting. I guess, I mean, for me, I guess what's most interesting is
Did you notice somebody pointed out the other day? Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. There's a little bit of a delay on our call because my internet's wonky. Sorry. So you go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to point out, it was just a quick little fact or that somebody said. Sony themselves has not put out a new IP this gen yet. It's all been sequels or remakes.
Really?
That's pretty odd, right?
Trying to think now. Yeah.
Returnal came out before Housemarque was bought.
Really? That's surprising. That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah, Returnal came out before they bought Housemarque.
So, Housemarque sale. Wow. So what is Sony doing? Like, I don't know. That's interesting. I didn't even.
You tell me, and we'll both know, brother.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. They've been putting out a lot of games, but you're right.
Go ahead.
It's all just been.
Yeah,
like,
they have.
It's been like you said, remakes or previous IPs. There's nothing new, huh? I just I wonder if maybe some of those could be what might be being delayed, unfortunately. Like maybe they're, because Sony can be very particular with their IPs and the quality of their games. I wonder if they are trying to put out some new IPs, and maybe like they're just like, oh nope, not good enough, back to the drawing board, something like that. I don't know.
And when I say new IPs, I mean actual new IPs, not the ones that are like obvious cash grabs, like all those 12 games that they're talking about, putting out the 12 live service games.
Yeah.
I know people are going to say, yeah, those are new IP. They are in like textbook definition, but you know what I mean, like an actual game.
Right, exactly. Sorry, I was trying to Google real quick. I'm curious about the Housemarque Returnal thing because I didn't realize that. I thought that was, let's see, that released in April 30th, 2021, and the sale happened, it was updated June 29th, 2021. Wow, okay. Yeah, so you're right. So even Returnal isn't technically a PlayStation IP, at least as of launch. Now they've kind of absorbed it, and it is now.
Right, it is now, but
it wasn't initially. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah, I suspect, like as this article mentioned at the end here, it's I think number one, it's definitely that Last of Us game. Like that game we've been waiting on for so long, it just keeps getting delayed and delayed. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if it even just gets canceled. Like I seriously think they could, or maybe not cancel it.
I think
maybe
it's
not cancel it, but they've already talked about
turned into something else.
Yeah, they've already talked about doing a Last of Us Part 3. Like if maybe it just gets folded into being the multiplayer mode for Last of Us Part 3. I could see that happening as well. Or yeah, maybe even reskinned to something else. But I don't know. I could see it just getting, all right, yeah, in the next Last of Us game, it'll be the multiplayer mode. But I don't know.
Which is fine. I don't know. I don't want another Last of Us game right now. I want them to make something different.
Yeah. I know.
Maybe that's just me.
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, Naughty Dog puts out great games. Crash, Jack and Daxter. They had Uncharted and Last of Us, and like they have this long history of just great IPs. That I feel like, all right, we've had 2 generations now, PS3 and PS4 with Uncharted and Last of Us. Like, all right, let's move on to something else. Like, it's like 14 years of just like the same thing. Like, let's get something else.
I would love for them to do a new IP and to do a lighthearted thing. I feel like that would be a challenge for them.
Like, go back to like their Jack and Daxter days, Crash days kind of thing, where it's a little more light.
I'm not saying it has to be like a mascot platformer, but just something that, like, I don't know, isn't about the world ending.
Yeah, right. No, it's true. That Uncharted and Last of Us are so heavy, and Last of Us is even, with part 2, like even leaning even harder into like that heavy, emotionally heaviness. It would be nice to have something that's a little more like, oh, this is fun, not so like.
Prove to me, Naughty Dog, that you guys are okay, that you're not sad all the time, please.
Yeah, Neil, are you all right, dude? You doing okay?
Right? Are you guys okay over there?
Okay?
I hope you guys have like an on-site therapist or something. Good grief.
Oh man. That is an interesting note too about the Twisted Metal game. I forgot that there was kind of rumors of a Twisted Metal game, and that would have made sense for there to be a Twisted Metal game around the time of the show, or at least not at the same time, but within a few months, like, oh, new show this winter, play the new Twisted Metal, something like that. But yeah, I totally had forgotten about that. But yeah, I don't think
they were too.
If they had to switch developers, though,
pressed about that one.
Yeah, if they have to switch developers, like obviously, like that game's not coming for a while, so it's kind of like a big. I think that one probably got pushed back. That's one of those early 2025 at the earliest, probably.
Yeah, I don't think they were expecting Twisted Metal to make a whole lot of money, realistically, because I don't remember the fan base ever really being that huge for it.
Yeah, it
even
was,
with the TV show, I don't think it's really gonna pop off that crazy.
Yeah, it's an iconic franchise. Like, people immediately recognize Sweet Tooth and the ice cream truck and stuff like that. But I think you're right. Like, it wasn't necessarily like a huge fan base. It was an iconic IP that didn't necessarily have like as much people backing as you would have thought based off of the hype every time you saw something. It's like, I think people just got hyped up because it's recognized. Again, it's iconic, so people would see, be like, oh my gosh, but like half of those people aren't even going to touch the game, So yeah, right. maybe not. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. I really wish Team Asobi would just put out another Astrobot game, because the what's it called on PS5? The one that they released for free with the PlayStation 5, like that game was incredible.
Astro's Playroom?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Astro's Playroom. That game was was
phenomenal. But apparently they don't. We don't know what's going on. They're not. Apparently they're not working on anything.
It's so crazy. Like,
that's what I've heard people that say it. That's the rumor.
Such a good game. Like, give me all the Astrobot. Like, I would play in any and every form, every genre. I don't care what it is. Like, give me freaking, like, I don't know. So I recently been messing with some of the emulation software on my Steam Deck recently, and I realized I didn't remember. I totally forgotten that I have like Crash Bash and stuff like that on there. I'm like, dude, like, imagine if they made like a fun like Crash Bash style game with like Astrobot, like those goofy little like Astrobots running around and stuff, and like little mini games and stuff like that. Like, that'd be so much fun, something like that. So I don't know. That's just me. I like those little guys. I know some people knock it like, oh, they're just whatever. It's a stupid little mascot. I'm like,
you know how
such a great platformer.
That Sony didn't care about PSVR 2? Because there's no Astrobot game.
That's
Think
true.
about it. What's the best game that people said that came out on PSVR 1 by far, by a landslide, was Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Yeah.
Why, if you're making a sequel to that headset with upgraded gear, would you not? Why would that not be the first game you put on your list to release with that hardware?
Right. That should have been launch game or near launch, you know?
Easy launch game.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. I think, who was it?
Rest
Someone
in
else.
peace, PSVR 2.
Someone was tweeting about it recently and posted a picture of it, just like this. I regret the $600 for this thing, and like it was just a picture of this thing.
It was
covered
Ryan
in dust.
McCaffrey.
Ryan McCaffrey is covered in so much dust, like thick dust. Like, oh my gosh, so horrible.
Saved myself a cool 600 on that one.
Yeah, wild. That's what's so wild. It's so expensive, and there's nothing for it. Absolutely nothing. Oh man, I can't wait to see what the Quest 3 is going to be this fall. That's what I'm excited for. Forget PSVR 2. Give me that Quest 3.
Yeah, baby.
We only got
sir.
Another month or so before we probably hear about it. Next month or two. Didn't they say like September-ish we would hear about it?
Yeah, I would say September, October.
Yeah.
I would imagine September so they can get it out in October in time for Christmas.
Yeah. All right, cool. This last news story is coming to us from IGN, written by Logan Plant. Red Dead Redemption fans protest release they're calling overpriced, lacking new features. Red Dead Redemption's newly announced PlayStation and Nintendo Switch release could have been a cause for celebration among the game's dedicated community, but instead fans are up in arms over today's news. This morning, Rockstar revealed the 2010's Red Dead Redemption and its Undead Nightmare expansion are coming to PS4 and Nintendo Switch on August 17th, with physical editions to follow on October 13th. Rockstar is calling the port a conversion rather than a remaster or remake, and the company is charging $50 for this iteration of the game. Red Dead Redemption players on social media are upset about Red Dead Redemption's price, missing multiplayer, and lack of a PC release, which I think that's been updated. I feel like I saw a headline today that there is a PC release. Don't quote me on that, though. I can't remember exactly. This is an old article.
Is there?
I feel like I thought I saw something somewhere. Maybe you can look it up quick and confirm, like on your phone real quick. But I thought I saw maybe that as of today, like maybe there was something on PC. But I digress. At this point, in this article, it's
still not worth $50, but okay.
Yeah. It doesn't help matters that rumors about a Red Dead Redemption remake have been flying for a few weeks following a fresh rating for the game in South Korea. Fans got their hopes up over a full-blown remake, with many clamoring for a version that would put the original in line with Red Dead Redemption 2 in a similar manner to how The Last of Us Part 1 is now visually similar to Part 2. There's a tweet from some random person on the internet. Red Dead Redemption, what we wanted. Remake, the map is in Red Dead Redemption 2 already. 60 FPS, DualSense features, only current gen versions, PS5, Xbox Series, and good PCs. The ultimate version. What we got. A 30 FPS port, no 60 FPS,
I see Switch
no remake
and
remaster.
PS4.
Okay, so no PC. And Rockstar not caring. So, yeah, absolutely wild. And again, there's more to the news article here, but I think we got the gist of it. Basically, a game is coming out that is very old with no new upgrades, and they're charging $50, which is what games were. That's what games. So back when Red Dead Redemption first came out, that's like what a brand new game cost. I remember paying $50 for a new game. So basically, they're charging the original price for the game. So yes, it's technically cheaper than most games. Like nowadays, games are $70 when they come out, but they're not doing anything. Like obviously, there was work done to port it to those consoles.
They're playing semantics.
But like, I'm not saying there's no work done. Like, don't get me wrong. But man, like, it just seems so wild to me that, like, yeah, Last was Part 1. I think they were charging only like 50, maybe $60 for that game. But that was like a full-blown like remaster, like in the new engine, new graphics, new everything.
Last of Us Part 1? Oh, no, buddy. No. That was a full 70.
Was it? Okay. For some reason, I thought it was like 50 or 60.
That was why everybody was so upset about it.
Okay. But still, like, I honestly want to see, to me, that's not terrible. Like, I'm not mad at that, only because, yeah, like they worked kind of from the ground up with the new engine and stuff like that. Maybe 60 would have been better.
You can see it.
I can see it. But with this, $50 for how old is this game? This game's like 15 years old, right?
No, all right. It's not 15.
It's old.
360's not 15 years old.
Okay. I don't know. I think this is absolutely wild.
It's 2010,
well.
I think that game came out. Because I remember I was not just out of high school, but it had been just a little bit since I was out of high school.
Okay, so 13 years old. I was 2 years old. I was 2 years off. 2 years off. Sorry.
Thank you.
13 years
Thank
old.
you.
Why? Okay, here's my question to you. Why does Rockstar hate their games? They put out the frickin' the remasters of the other games and they're trash. What is it? Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City and all those like garbage remasters.
The GTA trilogy.
And then
that
this
was
game,
disrespectful.
And then this game, they're not even bothering to do any work. They're just like, let's just re-release. It's already, it's fine. It's just coming to PS4 and Switch. We're not even gonna bother with PC. Like what is wrong with Rockstar right now? Are they okay?
The real answer.
Theory, real quick, before you answer, because this was popped in my head. They are so strapped for cash. They're dumping so much money into Grand Theft Auto 6 that they are just they're literally dumping money into furnaces and just burning it up. And they're like, we've run out of money. We need more money. So they're just like trying to make a quick because Grand Theft Auto 5 just isn't making enough money, with their online microtransactions, just those shark cards, not making enough.
I
don't know.
So the thing about that is the rumored budget for GTA 6, they said, is about $1 billion at this point. Right?
Wow. Okay.
So the problem with that theory is they make that game's budget back every day, or at least like at a very frequent pace. So it can't be that they're burning cash. Right. Because they could have made that game multiple times over with the amount of money that GTA brings in. The actual real reason is they are banking on people who haven't played games in years, that just started playing games again during the pandemic, or people who are just looking for something to play, being like, Red Dead, I remember that game from 2010. Wow, they're bringing it back out, which is the majority of people, because you got to remember that people who are into this stuff, like the level that you or I or anybody who would be listening to this, we are locked in. So, well, to us, this seems like a horrible deal, which it is. Joe Blow, who played this game, hasn't played this game in 13 years and doesn't understand that, the value of games goes down over time unless it's a Nintendo game. It decreases. Yeah. And the fact that this is the same game with, I think, maybe a little bit of a tweak to the color palette, and maybe. It's just the work of the port, and it's $50 when I can go into a retro game store and get them both for what, maybe 20.
Let me see how much it cost on just like even like Amazon, because I mean you can buy these games like anywhere pretty much. You probably have it on GameStop for like dirt cheap.
And that's So that's the thing, right? And then you got to remember too that the PS4 the PS4 user base and the Switch user base are both over 100 million. So if even a fraction of that those bases buy it, that's what, an extra couple $100 million.
So Red Dead Redemption Game of the Year on PS3, which you have to have a PS3 to play, I guess, is brand new in box sealed, $17.97. And it's both, so the Game of the Year is both the original game and Undead Nightmare. So for $17, you can pick up a copy. And you just gotta have a PS3. I think they also have the 360 version. So for PS3 and 360 Game of the Year edition, you get for under $20 off Amazon, brand new sealed in box. So there's that.
There is quite literally, for people like you and I, and for people who like listen to stuff like game shows like we do, there is quite literally no excuse that Rockstar could give to justify the price for this game that it's at right now.
Yeah.
With the little level of work. If I also would not believe that it cost them that much to port it over. There's no way. There's no way.
And they didn't
I don't
even
care
bother
what porting house you use. It doesn't take that much.
Yeah, and they didn't even bother to port it to like PS5. They're like, yeah, PS4, it's all we can handle. It's like, what? Why?
Easy
Why?
money.
Why wouldn't you do like at least a PS? Granted, like there's a huge PS4 base out there, so I mean, all right, I get it, but I don't know. Then make it
split the versions like they did for Horizon. They did it for what?
What? I was listening to you.
I was saying just split the versions. Like there's a PS4 version of Horizon. There's a PS4 version of God of War. Okay. There's a PS5 version of both of those. Do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think Rockstar they deep down inside they actually hate video games. They don't actually want to make video games anymore. They're like, we're done. Get out of here. They're just trying to drive everyone away. I don't know. I can't think of any rational reason for why they're doing these things. But there you have it. You can look forward to it, I guess.
They don't hate video games. They like money and they don't mind taking advantage of people to get it. That's what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably the case. So if you have whatever, how much was it? $60, $50, whatever. If you just have money burning a hole in your pocket, and you want, okay. So this is one last thing before we leave off here. There is a tweet that says, in case you missed it, Red Dead Redemption runs at 4K on the Xbox Series X and at 1440p on the Xbox Series S via the Huchi method. Mm-hmm. So like you can literally through backwards compatibility buy these games on the Xbox. That's why if you notice, it's only coming to PS4 and Switch. But so if you have an Xbox, you can just buy the original one for dirt cheap probably, and then just run it at 4K on your Xbox Series S and have a better experience than the crap that you're going to get on PlayStation Switch. That's the other egregious thing. It's like Xbox already has it all figured out because they have backwards compatibility. So in that sense, it's the onus is on PlayStation and Switch as well for just not offering backwards compatibility. That would solve the whole issue. Then Rockstar wouldn't have to do this. But Here we are. All right.
But they saw an opening and they took it.
They took it. They're like $50. Thank you very much. All right. I don't have anything more to add to that other than shame on you, Rockstar. And come on, PlayStation. Just let me play backwards compatible games. Don't buy it, please. Don't buy it. All right. Well, I believe that is it for the nerdy nudes this week. Now it is time for our Patreon ad. This is a part of the show where I tell you to go over to patreon.com/supergamerboys and support us starting at just $1 a month. That's right, $1. You get episodes early and ad-free, such as this show. Right after the show, if you're not able to watch us record live, I edit that MP3 and ship it out to you supporters on Patreon. And I send you the link from this stream VOD that will go private, send it out to you folks. So if you want to be able to rewatch the VOD or listen into the audio, support us over Patreon. Sorry, just $1 a month. You get that. Plus our Patreon exclusive show, Super Later Boys. That's a monthly show where we chit chat about any random topic of discussion or questions you guys write in. Me, Adrian, the episode that's up right now, me, Adrian, and JJ sit down and chat for about 45 minutes to an hour or so, and it's fun time. Just it's nice and laid back. You never know where the discussion's going to go, how it's going to end up. That's the fun of it. We go on with pretty much no agenda, very little talking points, and it's just like, all right, let's just talk and see what happens. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, go check it out. That'll be up each and every month for just Patreon supporters. You can also support us at the $5 level and above, or $5 level, and you get the show notes to the show that we're recording right now. That way you can see what we're going to be talking about ahead of time. And on the doc, you can even leave your own questions, comments, and concerns. So if you look at the news stories and you're like, oh, I have thoughts on that news story, I have thoughts about Baldur's Gate setting a new gaming standard, you can leave your questions or concerns or thoughts right on the show notes, and I'll read them during the show. So if you want your voice heard, go ahead and support us over on the $5 level. You get those show notes. $10, you can be a Super Gamer sponsor. You get the shout out at the top of each and every episode. And then the top dog, $15 a month Patreon producer tier, you can pitch us a segment and we'll do it here on the show. We've done, losing reviews back in the day. We reviewed bad movies. Adrian originally was a producer, and we did Super Indie Boys. He would send us in his little Super Indie Boys segments, and we'd play them on the show. So yeah, if you have a thought, you're like, oh, this would be fun to have during the show, think about sending it in. It's fun to have that input from you folks, and we appreciate, again, all the support from the Patreon supporters to help us keep making the show awesome. That's help support us buying games, buying equipment, whatever it is we need to help keep making cool content for you folks. All right, the last thing I want to talk about here in the ad is Twitch. If you're on at twitch.tv/thesupergamerboys, then you can support us for free. If you have Amazon Prime, that means you can link it to your Twitch account and use your Prime Gaming sub. It costs you $0, and we get $5. So if you have a free Prime Gaming sub laying around, or maybe your aunt or uncle, your grandma has Amazon Prime that she's not using over on Twitch, ask her for that login. Log in, link those accounts, and then you get a free sub each month. And we'd appreciate it if you threw it our way. It helps support the channel, and you get some cool emotes. Yeah, like I said, like I've said before, take that money from Jeff Bezos. He doesn't need it. He has plenty of money. Take it back. You're paying him enough by watching all the Twitch ads and paying for Amazon Prime every month anyways. Might as well make it work for you. So, all right, that's it for the ad this week. Now, let's get back to the show. Alrighty, Adrian, this is the part of the show where I now ask you, what you playing?
Well, like I hinted a little bit earlier, right now, or I should say recently, I have played through the first two Final Fantasy games. So that's Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 2. Those were both the new Pixel Remaster releases of the games, where as it says in the title, they've been remastered, but they also come with a bunch of quality of life updates. So you could turn random battles off if you want. You can put boosts on so you get extra XP or extra money when you win battles and things like that, to kind of help ease the grind that, you know, a lot of people are not accustomed to with games like that. So like I said, my history with these games is I had not finished them before now. I have played them, but I just had never gotten to the end. So it was nice to finally be able to put those under my belt. My question, or my consensus is, I appreciate them for what they are. I'm trying to frame it in the lens of, would I tell somebody who's not familiar with Final Fantasy to start here? Most likely not.
Oh, okay.
I think if you like Final Fantasy and you are interested in the roots of it, then I would say, yeah, these are worth going back to play. And that's not because they're bad games. I wouldn't tell people to start with it. I think it's just because it's a lot more bare bones than modern games are today. That goes with the territory. It's a lot less handholdy, and it's a lot less forgiving. That's why they had to put those boosts in there, to kind of make it, you know, for newer players.
Okay.
Those games don't hold your hand, and you need to grind, and you need to make sure that you're prepared, or it's going to whoop your butt. But overall, I had a really good time with them. I know 2 is not everybody's favorite. because it changed up the leveling system a whole lot. But I appreciate that they at least try to do something different. It's not necessarily my favorite either, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's overhated. I think it's just different, and I think people were expecting it to be the same Final Fantasy all the way through, but even some things from 2 have become standards in the franchise up until this point in time at 16. So, each iteration has added something in there that is still in the series. It's like a hallmark in the series to this day. So, yeah, I've had a good time with them. That's probably going to start 3 up here pretty soon. I don't know how soon. I think I should probably do them in like maybe batches of 2 to kind of give myself a break, because they are RPGs and they take a lot of hours.
You don't want to burn yourself out too quick.
Yeah, exactly.
What have you been playing?
That's what I've been playing. How about yourself?
On Switch or Steam Deck or Xbox? Like, where have you been playing these?
On Switch, because that nice OLED mixed with those pixels.
Oh. Perfection. And that's the one thing I'm having the most trouble with is I'm still buying like my indies. I'm still buying them on my Switch, even though I have a Steam Deck, just because that OLED is that good, dude. It makes games like, I don't know what magic it works, but that's where I'm at with it. It's glorious. The colors are fantastic. It's so crispy, like the pixels, like it's just. So the OLED isn't technically, it's not technically higher resolution, right? It must be, because it seems like it's like, way crisper.
It's just clear.
And it's magic.
Well, it's a much better panel, and it's glass.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. That makes a huge
So the
difference.
picture is a lot clearer. Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Man,
because I go back and I look at the Steam Deck when it's trying to do like a black color and it's just really like gray, right? And it's like, whew, brother, man,
not the same. Yeah, cool. But
what have you been playing?
Well, real quick here. Yeah, one of these days I know I'm not necessarily like a huge Final Fantasy like aficionado, and you even just said like you wouldn't recommend an older Final Fantasy game to someone new, but I don't know, they've always just been so interesting to me. Like one of these days it would be cool to try, maybe not playing all of them, but trying one of them, be like, all right, what are the old Final Fantasies like? It'd be kind of neat to try, but I don't know, ultimately it scares me too, because I'm like, I don't want to.
I would say for you to get a good picture of what they were like, I would say at maybe 4 or 5 I think would be a good place for you to start.
Okay, that's good to
I know a lot of people will say, why didn't you say 6? 6 is like the hallmark that a lot of people have. Like, it's Eddie's favorite Final Fantasy. Or it's his favorite old school Final Fantasy. I don't know about his new school one. Okay. But I think 4 and 5. So 6 has a lot of characters and it has a lot of story that you can maybe feel is a little daunting if you don't know what to expect. But I think 4 and 5 are a lot more simpler. And I don't mean that in a derogatory term. I mean, they're more like easy to follow if this is like your first time interacting with a Final Fantasy game of the old Final Fantasy games.
Right. Okay. It's good to know. Because you can get those pixel remasters as like just individual games as well, right? Like you don't have to buy like the whole package. They sell like just.
Yeah, like you can buy them a la carte.
So. Okay. Yeah, maybe that'd be.
Yeah, you can get whichever. There's 1 through 6, and you can get whichever ones you want.
Sweet. Might need to look into that down the road once I finish my plethora of other games that I have going right now. So this week I have been playing more Baldur's Gate 3. Obviously, not as much as I would have liked. I feel like I just haven't had a ton of game time, unfortunately. But still absolutely loving it. The game is so good. I've mainly been playing on Steam Deck. I really want to try it on PC because what's interesting is with Baldur's Gate 3, depending on how you're playing, it completely changes the interface and like how you interact with the world. Like when I'm on my Steam Deck, it looks completely different than on my PC. I've booted it up on my PC before. But yeah, it's wild. Like it looks completely different. And even on my PC too, I always have my DualSense plugged into my PC. So like I fired up Baldur's Gate 3 more to just see the fidelity of it, because on Steam Deck it looks fine. It looks fine, but it's not great. So I turned everything to max and ultra on my
It's
computer.
playable.
Yeah, exactly. I turned everything to like as high as it would go on every setting, and holy crap, like it was gorgeous. And I was getting like solid 60 FPS with everything turned up to max, and it was beautiful. I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. This is so great. And I happened to I accidentally bumped the controller, and I noticed like the interface all looked different. I'm like, oh, this is so weird. Like, I don't even know if I could play on a PC because it looks so different. I accidentally bumped my controller, hit a button on there, and all of a sudden like the whole interface like instantly changed. So like even on PC, if you're using controller, it goes to like the Steam Deck style, like the way it looks. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then as soon as I wiggled my mouse, it went back to the PC interface. I'm like, that is interesting. So they have like different ways of even interacting with the game depending on if you're using controller or mouse and keyboard, which makes sense, but I don't know. Yeah, it's just it's interesting, like how drastically different it looks.
My question though is, with Steam Deck, can't you just use the mouse pad to enact the PC interface? Because it's supposed to act as if it were a mouse, right?
Probably, but that sounds terrible. Honestly, what's nice is playing. Yeah, because that's such a tiny trackpad. Like, imagine trying to scroll across the screen. It'd take you 10 minutes to get your mouse from one side of the screen to the other. Where at least so because it's all I know.
I thought they were supposed to be able to do the flick.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. I don't mind the controller mode at all. The controller mode is great because basically you just control your character as if it's a third-person game. Like, the right stick moves them around, the left stick or left stick moves, and right stick moves the camera. Like, it's just like any other. So there's nothing wrong with one way or the other. It's just more like oh man, it would just be so different on PC. Like if I was playing with mouse and keyboard. But one thing I do want to talk about, which is amazing, a new thing on my Steam Deck. I mentioned I was doing some upgrades and stuff on my Steam Deck. I talked about with the emulator and stuff like that. Another upgrade I made is I installed. So on the Steam Deck, I think it's called Moonshine, and then or Moonbeam, something like that. Moonbeam or Moonshine, I forget. And then on PC, it's called Sunshine. So you have these two pieces of software, and it lets you stream the game from your PC to your Steam Deck. So technically, it's already built in with Steam Link, but Steam Link, I tried it, and I could not get it to work well. Like, I wasn't getting good performance. Audio would be glitchy. Like the built, which is wild, that the built-in Steam Link software was not working for me. But using I think it's Moonbeam and Sunshine, dude, I fired up Baldur's Gate 3 on my Steam Deck, streaming from my PC, and it looks incredible. And since I'm just using my local network, I'm not using I'm using my Wi-Fi, but I'm not using the internet, if that makes sense. I'm using my home network. Because I'm using my home network, it's instant. Like, there's no latency, so it's perfect. Like minimal. Like, it's fractions of a millisecond is what if there even is latency. It's very minimal,
right?
Because this is using my local area network, and then. And I can have all the settings cranked on my PC, and so on my Steam Deck on that little screen, it's like, this is so beautiful. Like, it looks so good. I fire up Cyberpunk, and again, I was playing Cyberpunk full ray tracing, like what I normally do on my PC, but on the Steam Deck, and again, latency non-existent. It was glorious. So if you're looking for a way to play beefier games,
and then you go
Steam
back
Deck,
to the regular Steam Deck version.
Oh, it's like playing it's like what we talked about last week with the Sam's Club soda. That's a dollar store soda. It's like what it's doing playing these games. You play the full version, the dollar store version. It's like, oh man, what is the Cyberpunk I want and the Cyberpunk we have at home? It's it's so bad. So I'm kind of spoiled, which is unfortunate because now if I ever travel, obviously, and as long as I have Wi-Fi, technically I should be able to play my Steam Deck, I think, from anywhere, or use the software. But yeah, say I'm in the car or something like that, or on a plane, I can't use this. So, but it's a nice thing when I'm sitting in bed, because that's where I mainly use it. I'm sitting in bed, my wife's asleep next to me, and to be able to play these games off of my PC. I just leave my PC running now down in my office, and man, it's incredible. I love it. It's great. So I highly recommend it. It's great software, and it works a lot better than the Steam Link, in my opinion, so far. The only other game I've been playing, just to share, I have been playing other games, and again, I mentioned I was fixing up. I had downloaded EmuDeck and Emulation Station back when I first got my Steam Deck, because I was like, everyone's like, you got to do this. If you got a Steam Deck, you got to put this on there. So I did it, but I never like tweaked with it. Didn't really use it much. I used it to play GTA Vice City when we did it for book club, but I never like sat down and customized it and made it mine, and made it fun and interesting and like dialed in the settings. So I've been doing that the last week, and dude, I've been having so much fun diving back into Pokemon Yellow on the Game Boy. Man, it's a wild pick. I know it's a wild, just out there pick, but yeah, what's cool is like with RetroArch and stuff, you can set like overlay filters and stuff like that. So because otherwise like it plays it and it's like too pixel perfect. I'm like, I don't like the look of it. It's too crisp and clean. Like I don't want it
crispy. I know what you mean.
I don't want it to be in like the clean 4K or whatever. Like it's not 4K, but you know what I mean, like high resolution. So what I love is in RetroArch, like figuring out, and they have like 1,000 different options for different types of CRT filters and like Game Boy filters, and like every handheld you can think of, there's like different versions. And like I found one, I'm like, this is better. This looks like, it's like a Game Boy overlay that makes it look just like that dot matrix, It's so good. So yeah, playing some Pokemon Yellow, and it's been fun. Shep's been watching me, and what's really nice is it has all the features of an emulator where you can like speed things up. So like when I'm leveling up my Pokemon, I can just hold down the right trigger.
When you need to grind.
Yeah, I can run back and forth through the grass. I can get a battle done in like 2 seconds, find the next Pokemon in a half a second, battle in 2 seconds. So like I literally got my Pikachu from like level 3 to like level 15 in a matter of like 2 minutes. I'm like, this is the best. So cheating a little bit, but
you broke
whatever.
The game.
I don't have time to play the game how I played it when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I had all the time in the world. I had all the time in the world when I was a boy. Now, no time. But yeah, Pokemon Yellow. It's been so much freaking fun. Too much fun.
Great game, man. I got my cart's over there.
That's awesome.
Too bad you can't trade somehow with the actual like Game Boy hardware.
Yeah, so you can trade, but only with other people with RetroArch, because RetroArch has like a Wi-Fi online link thing you can do. So if you ever, if you had a save also on RetroArch with Pokemon Yellow on a device, then yeah, we could trade back and forth. Because yeah, that's the biggest thing. There's like Pokemon you can't get, within Yellow, just like with all the versions. There's always like some Pokemon you can't get, or you
got to get them from Red and Blue.
Yeah, or you have to trade them in order to evolve them and stuff like that. So I'm like bummed out.
And then
like,
trade back because some of them evolve. Yeah,
like I'm kind of stuck, but either way, I'm having fun. It's fun little.
I mean, you already had. There's no Game Shark codes for it that are in RetroArch.
Oh, I'm sure there are. Well, yeah, you can do cheats.
You might have to do it that way.
It's built in. I haven't messed with it at all, but yeah, if there's a way to do it that way, I might tinker with that. All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening this week. We appreciate each and every one of you who tune in live over at twitch.tv/thesupergamerboys and youtube.com/supergamerboys. We stream live there. We will do dual streaming over here. So make sure to check out both places. Make sure to subscribe over on YouTube. It's free to subscribe. And you get notifications when new videos go live. You get notifications when we are live. That's where kind of all of our content goes to, either there or podcast services. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, make sure you subscribe on podcasts, and you're good to go. If you love what we do and want to help support us, remember patreon.com/supergamerboys. You can send some money our way, support us at one of those tiers, and help support the show. And you get episodes early and ad free as well as our Patreon exclusive show, Super Later Boys. sgbstore.com if you want to buy some merch. We got t-shirts, we got coffee mugs, we got hoodies, whatever you need, we got it over there. Remember to rate and review us where you can. We appreciate that. Shout out to Jack Sriracha and Yate for allowing us to use their music here on the show. Love the tunes that we have going in the background here. And if you do too, make sure to check out those links. Find them over on Apple Music, Spotify. You can find us during the week at supergamerboys.com, Twitter and Instagram at supergamerboys. I am over at Twitter and Instagram at gmorlang. Adrian, where can they find you at?
You can find me any and everywhere at Homeboy.
Heck yeah. And I guess, the last thing, supergameboys.com/Discord. Remember, join us over there. We mentioned it earlier in the show, but join us. It's fun to chit chat and hang out and share cool things we're playing and we're watching, whatever. We have channels for everything. So join us over there. And we need some questions for the show and for Super Later Boys. So go check it out. Check out our Discord. And with that, Adrian, do you mind taking us out here?
Of course I can. Folks, thank you for hanging out with us for another week of the Super Gamer Boys podcast. As always, we appreciate you just coming by, hanging out with us, and listening for a little bit. And we also appreciate if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Twitch, and if you follow us and subscribe to our Patreon. Or even if you don't, just hanging out is enough. All right. Until next time, we are the Super Gamer Boys.
We'll catch you on the flippity flop.
Peepsy at our restaurant. Absolutely not.
Just Peepsy and Pepsi products.
Could you imagine we build this whole establishment just to sell Peepsy out of it? We'll be broke in a week.